I wasn't supposed to be home until Monday morning, but the retreat ended early. A storm was rolling in, and I missed my own kitchen. Missed my coffee pot, if I'm honest. The bus dropped me off a few blocks down, and I walked the rest of the way back with my bag slung over my shoulder, still humming the last hymn we sang when I unlocked the front door. The smell hit me first. Paint. Something chemical and sharp, lingering in the air. I froze, confused, blinking at the faint haze drifting under the hallway light. "Hello!" I called out, no answer. I stepped in, my shoes heavy against the familiar floorboards, and then I saw it. My mattress. Not just the sheets or pillows, my whole mattress had been dragged into the hallway like it was trash. My bedroom door was half open. Through the gap, I saw her, Malia. She stood on a drop cloth, holding a paint roller, her hands steady, her eyes calm. My rose-colored walls, the ones Lial and I picked out 30 years ago, were now half covered in flat, lifeless gray. Cardboard boxes leaned in stacks by the closet, one already open, spilling my Sunday hats beside power cords and a speaker system. She didn't even flinch at seeing me, didn't drop the roller. She looked at me almost cheerfully and said, "Oh, you weren't supposed to be home yet." I couldn't speak. My throat had closed, my body locked in place. She kept going like she was giving me a tour. "We're just preparing to move in. It's easier to get started while the space is clear, you know? We didn't think you'd mind." And then Brent walked in. My son, holding a roll of papers like it was the most natural thing in the world. "I brought the layout mock-ups," he said, barely glancing my way. "Thought we'd knock down that closet wall, open the space up." I stared at them. My coat damp from the storm, the retreat pamphlet still curled in my hand. They were standing in my bedroom. My walls, my curtains, my floor. I don't remember walking backward. But suddenly I was in the kitchen, reaching for the coffee filter like muscle memory and realizing I didn't even know where they'd put it. This house still creaks in the same places it did when Lial and I built it. Floorboards in the hall, the pipe under the bathroom sink, the porch step that groans in protest every time you walk over it. Every corner holds a memory. His hands, my planning, our stubborn will, hammered into the foundation. After he died, people told me to sell. Said the upkeep was too much. Said it was too big for one woman. But I couldn't leave it. Not then, not ever. I kept it manageable. Kept the garden small. Paid the bills. Left the bedroom untouched, the way he left it. Until now, Brent and Malia had come to me 6 months ago, their faces tired and desperate. Their landlord was raising rent again. They said they just needed a few weeks to regroup. What kind of mother says no? I told them yes, of course. They moved in fast. First with a weekend bag, then boxes, then the dog, then Malia's work monitor spread across my kitchen table. They took the guest room, then the den. I never asked how long a few weeks really meant. This morning I looked for the mail. The bin by the side door was empty. But on the dining table I found envelopes addressed to Malia, each stamped with a permanent change of address. Forwarded here. Her name, not mine. Brent's credit card bill, too, printed with my address as his own. They hadn't just moved in. They had declared it. My stomach twisted as I stacked their mail in front of me. I pulled out a sticky note and wrote 2 words. Explain this. But when I walked to my bedroom to slide the note under the door wasn't there. They had removed it. The hinges were intact. The screws were neatly placed in a little dish on my nightstand, like someone had performed surgery on my life. Inside, my room barely resembled mine. My quilt's gone. My mother's embroidered pillowcase is gone. My journals, my photos, the pressed rose Lial gave me on our 20th anniversary, gone. Brent's suits hung neatly in the closet. Malia's pastel sweaters still had price tags dangling. I didn't cry. I just walked out. Down the hall, the family photos had been stripped from the wall. In their place were framed slogans in cursive. Live simply. Bless this mess. Be present. Not one memory. Not one name dot in the garage. I found a stack of bins. One was labeled Donate Kayla. Inside were my things, my wedding quilt, my baby book, Lyle's chipped coffee mug, stripped of meaning, a note taped to the top in Malia's handwriting. Let's clear space. We'll take these next trip. I lifted the quilt, draped it over my shoulders, and pulled out the old wooden frame of our wedding photo. They had tried to erase him, erase me. That night, I overheard her. In the kitchen, layering lasagna into a glass pan. Guests were coming, Brent's old college friends, a dinner I hadn't been asked to help with. By evening, laughter and wine filled the house. I sat on the porch with a blanket, drinking coffee brewed in a camping pot. Through the window, I watched Malia gesture at the walls. We're thinking of knocking this down eventually, now that it's finally ours. They all nodded. Brent smiled like it was already true. I whispered to Lyle's photo on the shelf. You see all this, don't you? The next morning, I went to see Georgia at the courthouse. She'd known me forever, silver-haired now, but sharp as ever. I showed her the deed, my husband's will, and 3 utility bills addressed to them. She exhaled hard. They're setting up tenancy. If you don't act now, they'll be explaining why their name is on the lease they wrote themselves. Her words sliced through me. That night, when they stepped out, I saw Brent's laptop glowing. A subject line caught my eye. Refinance pathway, 60-day timeline. I clicked loan documents. My house listed under property to be secured. Ownership line, Malia Jameson. PRIMARYA, casual note from the broker. We'll explore facility options for Calvina after closing. Facility. They weren't planning to stay. They were planning to take everything by dawn. I'd already driven to the locksmith. By 9, every lock was changed. I stapled my deed tax history and notarized will into a folder and labeled it bold. Occupant removal evidence. When Brent and Malia came back at 2:14, grocery bags in hand, they rattled the door, knocked. I opened just enough. Their faces confused. Malia smiled too wide. Did something happen with the door? Brent's voice hardened. You could have told us you were changing the locks. You don't live here, I said, calm as the clock ticking behind me. You can't be serious. Mom, he snapped. I replied. 6 months ago, I closed the door. The police arrived soon after. An unlawful eviction call, they said. But when I handed them the folder, when they saw the deed, the will, the utility bills, their tone changed. You're the sole owner, the senior officer said. They have no legal right. Outside, Brent leaned against the car, his jaw tight. Malia's voice cracked. She can't just throw us out. We're family. The officer's reply was cold, final. Family's not a lease agreement. They packed in silence. Didn't look at me as they drove away. The silence after was heavier than their presence ever was. No footsteps. No laughter that wasn't mine. Just the hum of the fridge and the creak of wood settling into peace. I dragged the dresser back to its rightful place, laid my quilt across the bed, and set Lyle's photo back on the nightstand. Their blueprint for an open-concept kitchen I fed to the flame of the stove. Paper curled and blackened, leaving only ash. Weeks passed. No calls, no cars watching from the street. Just stillness. My garden grew wild, but I let it. The house was mine again, breath by breath, nail by nail. One morning, I found an envelope in the mailbox. Brent's handwriting. I didn't open it. Just slid it into the drawer beside the salt and closed it gently. I deleted his contact from my phone. The porch light still works. I keep it on at night, not for them, but for me. Maybe one day someone will knock who understands what it means to build a life, then protect it. Until then, I'll sit with my coffee, my name, and the silence I earned. And if you've read this far, if you've felt the pull of loyalty and betrayal, the quiet unraveling of trust, you'll understand why I say this. There are stories like mine everywhere. Stories hidden inside homes, inside families. If you want to hear more to explore how bonds bend and break, don't forget to subscribe to Shattered Bonds. Because even silence has a story. And sometimes the deepest wounds are carved by the people closest to us. And when you're ready for the next one, remember, Shattered Bonds is where you'll find it.